Straight ahead on CCX News, a trend in healthcare as seen in a grocery store near you. Plus, the vote in Brooklyn Park that now leads to a vote by residents. What a Parks Bond referendum will mean for taxpayers. But first, the local congressional race that's shaping up to be one of the nation's most competitive and expensive. The candidates square off in their first debate. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. Congressman Eric Paulson and his challenger Dean Phillips squared off Tuesday in a debate put on by the Twin West Chamber of Commerce.
It was the first and so far only debate scheduled between the two candidates. Paulson has been a member of Congress since 2009, while Phillips is a political newcomer. If you follow politics at all, it probably won't surprise you that they didn't agree on much.
If Dean Phillips is elected and gets his way, he'll repeal the tax cuts. He's called them terrible. He said they're awful. He said he was disgusted by it and it would cause a decades-long economic disaster.
I don't believe Congressman Paulson represents the principles and values of our district any longer. He talks like Jim Ramstad, yet votes 98% of the time with the Donald Trump agenda.
The candidates sparred over several topics, including transportation, healthcare, immigration, and the president's behavior. The underlying current of the conversation, though, was the economy. Paulson thinks it's doing well, largely due to President Trump's tax rewrite, while Phillips thinks the tax cuts went to the wrong people.
As a business owner, I believe that we need tax policy that puts more money in middle-class Americans' pockets, because the only way to stimulate demand, as we all know as business owners, is to ensure that more people have more to spend.
Making the provisions permanent for both individuals and for small business and medium business is critical, and I expect that we'll do that, hopefully on a bipartisan basis, when Congress returns this year.
Although no more debates are scheduled, both candidates said they would be willing to participate in more. Local police departments typically send out alerts every summer about thefts from unlocked vehicles.
The Brooklyn Park Police sent out one of those alerts this week. Only this time around, the stolen items were loaded handguns. Brooklyn Park Police say they've received 6 reports this year from people who had their unsecured guns stolen from unlocked vehicles. It's a mistake that police call dangerous and disturbing to the community. According to Minnesota law, if you transport a vehicle in a gun in a vehicle, it has to be unloaded and secured properly.
Well, our main concern is that they're going to be used to commit crimes. One of the previous ones has been recovered, the rest are unaccounted for, and we don't like to see guns out on the street in the hands of who knows who.
Brooklyn Park Police say if any of the stolen guns are used in crimes, they could be traced back to the original owners, who would then be subject to civil lawsuits.
There will soon be a new housing option for seniors who choose to live in Maple Grove. The City Council gave final approval to a development near Cook Lake. That's in southwest Maple Grove, just east of the Corcoran border. The project will include 42 single-family lots as well as open green space that will separate the homes from Cook Lake. The villa-style homes will be built by Charles Cudd Company, a Plymouth luxury home builder. Many of the homes will have zero-step entry, a perk for residents as they age. This type of design fits in with the recently adopted age-friendly Maple Grove Action Plan. Grocery stores that decide to revamp continue to make room for health clinics.
Retail health clinics continue to grow in popularity. Reporter Meredith Hackler explains why that's the case.
The way we receive healthcare is changing, especially for sicknesses like the common cold.
Minute clinics are open 7 days a week. We have convenient hours of mornings, weekends, and evenings. So really it comes from that access from our patients and our communities.
And access is what health professionals say is the driving force for the increase of retail health clinics across the country.
A study that was published by the American Academy of Family Medicine has projected a shortage of about 50,000 family physicians by 2025.
Along with being more accessible, retail health clinics are also more affordable.
There was a RAND study published in 2009 that did a comparison between retail clinics as well as urgent cares, emergency rooms, and family practice clinics, and that the retail clinics were more affordable for patients.
Minute clinics were started by CVS right here in the Twin Cities in 2000. Now other retail facilities like Hy-Vee are adding clinics to their new stores. This Hy-Vee being built in Robbinsdale is the 7th Hy-Vee in the Twin Cities that will have a walk-in clinic added to it. Providers say that retailers are adding these clinics to help fill a need.
You know, we've seen an uptick, you know, with the Affordable Care Act, more patients having insurance. So patients who typically maybe would have not come in to see their doctor, we're seeing more patients coming in now that they have insurance and coverage for health care. Walk-in health providers are able to help with common sicknesses. However, they still encourage every patient they see to have a primary care doctor. And our goal really is to be that adjunct or complementary to the primary care home. We encourage every patient to have regular visits with their primary care provider, and we really are serving to bridge that gap. Meredith Hackler, CCX News.
Come November, voters in Brooklyn Park will decide whether to support a $26 million park bond referendum.
I think it's very important that the people of Brooklyn Park have a voice. And by putting this on the ballot, it gives them a voice and gives them a choice of what they want to do. They're not having the city council tell them what they're going to do, and we're just raising their taxes. This is up to them now.
If the referendum is approved, it would cost a homeowner $4.84 a month for a median home valued at $214,000. The money would be used over the next 20 years to invest in the Brooklyn Park system. Priorities could include redeveloping large neighborhood parks, improving park buildings, developing trails, and possible renovations to the Community Activity Center. Mayor Jeff Lundy says he feels comfortable with the $26 million ask because it could end up being less.
If we get some things that help drive that cost down, if we decide to make some changes or we find money elsewhere, then we don't have to spend that much. This kind of says the voters know that we will spend no more than this much. We also know it's not going to happen all on day one. It's going to get spread out over the course of a 20-year period.
The park referendum will not include money for an aquatic facility, though the effort to bring a pool to Brooklyn Park could still be pursued. Still ahead, part 2 of our Great River Road journey. That's next in Backyard Getaways.
Plus, the Maple Grove boys soccer team returns plenty of talent as they aim for a repeat visit to the state tournament.
But first, the clouds should disappear Wednesday, giving way to sunshine and a high near 80. We'll be right back.
Last week, we brought you some of the charm along the Mississippi River, and we traveled the Great River Road through Dayton and Champlin, taking in nature and historic sites all along the way. Today, it is part 2 of our Great River Road journey.
In this week's Backyard Getaways, Eric Nelson visits the Brooklyns to discover the unique relationship that they have with the Mississippi River.
Well, I think one thing that's really interesting about the Mississippi River is that it is part of the national parks, and we have it right in our backyard.
On this part of the Great River Road journey, it's all about power and peace. In Brooklyn Park, you can see the raw power of the Mississippi.
It fills your senses in many ways. You hear the roar of the water flowing over the dam.
And discover peace and tranquility along the riverbanks.
You can walk right up to the shore, you can go fishing, you can hike our trails, see some really amazing wildlife.
Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park is the perfect spot for kids to splash and have fun.
We love coming down here just to explore, find different things.
And it's a place where parents can decompress.
It's amazing. You come here and there's forest, there's a lot it's just peaceful.
From stunning sunsets to rocky beaches, there are Kodak moments everywhere you look. One of the coolest stops along the Great River Road is right here, high above the mighty Mississippi on the river bluffs. It's the Isaac Walton League in Brooklyn Park. The Breckenridge chapter of the league has an up-north-like feel. Soon, we were back on the road again, taking in more sights along the way, such as River Park in Brooklyn Park. Finally, when we arrived in Brooklyn Center,
we're only 7 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, but we are in the wilderness here.
We received a history lesson from Diane Sanis, who has lived on the Mississippi for 26 years.
We are 300 miles from Itasca and 2,000 miles from New Orleans.
Sanis told us about bootlegging that once took place on tiny islands in the river.
There's a 4-story house on that island that was built in the 20s as kind of a speakeasy. People would bring their boats from the city, and then they would maybe have fun all night long, and then they would float back into Minneapolis.
The safe house was a place where liquor flowed freely during Prohibition.
Of course, Earl Brown was the sheriff right here in Brooklyn Center in the 20s, so this was right in his backyard. So there was a lot of stills in all of Hennepin County back in the 20s.
For Backyard Getaways, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
Still ahead, why it's a special week for local American Legion posts.
But first, the Champlin Park football team gets set for what they hope is a strong season. John Jacobson is in next with sports.
The Maple Grove boys soccer team made the Final Four in the state Class AA tournament last season. As Jay Wilcox reports, it could be another exciting season for the Crimson.
The Maple Grove Crimson may have surprised some, even internally, by getting as far as the state semifinals last season. With the big group back, they won't sneak up on anyone this fall.
We're super excited. We got a lot of returners, and we're hoping for a similar year as last year, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, everybody's looking back on those moments, you know, the Prior Lake game, how exciting it was. Maybe the Wayzata game, it was a tough loss, but hopefully we can get back there and do good things.
I think we'll have a really good season again, similar to last year. I think we had some good seniors that graduated, but we have a lot of young talent to fill the spots.
The Crimson should be strong in the midfield and defensively. Jack Dorholt and Caleb Robinson anchor the defense, along with returning goalkeeper Matt Hennessy. Jack Gleckler and Will Zaver are talented midfielders. They will have to find some scoring punch to replace graduated forwards.
It's always hard to replace goal scoring. I mean, that's probably the toughest thing in this sport. You see a lot of 0-0, 1-0 games, and that's kind of the knock on soccer. But yeah, losing Jeff Clune was tough, definitely. He scored that big one against Prior Lake to get us into the state semis. And yeah, that's always the key. It's probably the hardest part to find during tryout session is who's going to put it away for you. But we definitely have some guys that are very creative on the ball, and I think you're going to see us score more goals from different spots this year, and everybody's going to chip in more than just one or two guys scoring. So.
Maple Grove was second in the Northwest Suburban Conference behind eventual Class A champ Totino Grace last season. A lot of teams in the league can and will push the Crimson this fall.
Well, we know Totino Grace is always a really good game, that it's always tough against them. I mean, our whole conference is pretty talented, and it's good competition every week. We just have to show up every game.
It's kind of like the English Premier League. Every day, doesn't matter if you're playing a team on the top of the conference or the bottom, especially when you're on the road. It's tough to get wins in this conference.
There's no doubt this Maple Grove team is a contender to get back to state. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Maple Grove opens the season at home Thursday night against St. Michael Albertville. Time for another prep football training camp report. Today we visit the Champlin Park Rebels. They've had a summer of off-season workouts to get acclimated to new head coach Nick Keenan. Now it's full speed ahead for the Champlin Park football team.
It went a lot better than I expected. I didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Like, we're doing a lot of things the same, but yeah, it's going pretty good.
Good thing for these guys, we're keeping stuff similar and just adding some wrinkles. So on that sense, it's actually probably a little bit easier for them. Didn't have to spend a lot of time, coaching the coaches up. We just have a few new wrinkles, but otherwise things are going to stay pretty similar.
Coming off an injury-plagued 5-5 season, the early emphasis for the Rebels has been on the offensive and defensive line play, which Coach Keenan believes is a key to team success. Led by all-conference defensive lineman Hayden Carr, the Rebels return a solid group on that side of the ball. Todd Pope is another returning lineman. Vinny Lamerty is a good linebacker and leader on defense. Defensive backs Johnston Freeman and Will Walsh are among others to watch.
I'm excited to see us all work together because we've been playing since like third grade all together. I'm really excited because we're looking pretty good.
No starters for Champlin Park return on offense. Senior quarterback Bennett Otto missed all of last season with a back injury after starting as a sophomore. But the Rebels like junior Jace Miller too, and both should see playing time. Running the ball with success is important as well.
We have 3 solid backs. I know we haven't put out a depth chart or anything like that, but I have faith in any of the guys we have back there. They worked hard this summer. They look good physically. They know the playbook. They run hard. They want to carry the ball.
Now the Rebels will try to get back to the level that made them a state playoff team just 2 seasons ago. Here's a rundown on the Rebels. As we mentioned, 6 starters are back, all on defense. Champlin Park is home for their season opener to play East Ridge on August 30th. Tomorrow, a look at the Armstrong Falcons. That's it for sports. Shannon and Alex, back to you.
Thank you, John. Up next, 100 years and counting.
American Legions across the country and right here in the Northwest Metro celebrate a special anniversary. That's when we come back. Local veterans are marking a special occasion.
This week marks the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. Neil Persley visited Brooklyn Center Post 630 to explain its importance to the community.
I'm pledge allegiance to the flag. They're my brothers. They understand where I'm coming from. I understand where they're coming from.
Linnell Radcliffe is now the commander at Brooklyn Center American Legion Post 630.
It's been helpful to have this kind of a backup in my life.
These men and women served in the armed forces, and now they're serving their communities through the American Legion.
I live in the city of Brooklyn Center, and I think that it's important for people like me to step up as far as veterans, public officials, people of color, women. I saw that Commander Linnell was by herself, and I decided to help.
Layla is the first vice of the post. She and Linnell are representative of the fresh young faces that are beginning to take part in the Legion.
Oh, we got a lot of young guys that need to join, but I mean, they don't really join. I didn't join until I was quite old.
Members told me a lot of times participation in the American Legion by veterans comes after they get obligations with family and career squared away.
Right now, the Legion is, from what our standpoint is, you're not seeing the members that we did before. It's very difficult. And like I say, when they come home, they got so many problems to take care of. They're not thinking about joining a club.
Despite the lag in veterans becoming members, Post 630 is very much plugged into the community and gives money and assistance to nonprofit entities like local schools, SEEP, and Toys for Tots.
Our priority is military, our schools, and things within the community.
Keeping the mission in mind, Commander Radcliffe is optimistic about the future.
I think we can be strong. I think slowly but surely we'll get them in here and help them, and they can help us, and we can grow together.
From American Legion Post 630 in Brooklyn Center, Neil Persley, CCX News.
Friday, the American Legion's 100th National Convention will take place at the Minneapolis Convention Center. The very first national convention was also held in Minneapolis 100 years ago.
Wow.
Yes, they do a lot of good that sometimes we don't even realize.
Right. Nice to see the new leadership there too over at the Post.
That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We will see you back here again on Wednesday starting at 4 o'clock.